The massive Velkari warships hung in space like dark predators circling wounded prey. 20 vessels, each larger than any building on Keshar Prime, blocked out the stars above the peaceful world. Inside the capital city of Luminara, millions of Linith citizens looked up at their sky with fear in their hearts. The Linith were a gentle species. Their bodies were slender and graceful, covered in soft blue fur that shimmered in the light. They had 4 delicate arms that they used for their intricate healing work. For 3,000 years, they had built a civilization focused entirely on medicine and peace. Their hospitals treated patients from 100 different worlds. Their scientists had cured diseases that plagued entire star systems. They had never built a single weapon. Now that peaceful existence was about to end. In the Grand Council chamber, Elder Rishala stood before the viewing screen. Her silver fur marked her as one of the oldest and wisest of her people. She watched the Velkari fleet with quiet despair. Around her, the other council members whispered frantically. "They are hailing us again," said Velmira, the youngest council member. Her voice trembled. "Put them through," Rishala said softly. The screen flickered. Commander Zethrock's face appeared. The Velkari were a reptilian species with scales like dark metal and eyes that glowed red in their sockets. Zethrock's mouth pulled back in what might have been a smile, revealing rows of sharp teeth. "Greetings, little healers," Zethrock said. His voice was rough and mocking. "Have you considered our generous offer?" "What you demand is not generous, Commander. You want our complete surrender. You want access to all our medical databases. You want to control everything we have built. That is generous by our standards. We need your medical technology to keep our armies strong. You should be honored to serve us. I am giving you 12 hours. Surrender your databases and your facilities, or we will take them by force. Your cities will burn, your people will scatter. In the end, we will have what we want anyway. But this way, most of you will die." Silence filled the council chamber. Velmira was crying quietly. The other council members looked at each other with hopeless expressions. "What can we do?" one of them asked. "We have no weapons, no defenses. Our shield generators can barely protect against asteroids." And where would they go? The Velkari control this entire sector now. Libraries full of medical knowledge stood beside hospitals where the sick from many worlds came to be cured. It was a city built on hope and compassion. In 12 hours, it might all be ash. "Send a distress call," Rishala said quietly. "To whom?" Velmira asked. "The Velkari have conquered or intimidated everyone in nearby systems. The Galactic Council will debate for weeks before doing anything. By then, we will be gone. If we are to fall, let the galaxy know what the Velkari have done. Let them know we tried to live in peace. Tell them who we are, tell them what we have given to the galaxy, and tell them we are about to die for the crime of being kind." A hope that someone somewhere might care, but space is vast and empty. The message traveled through the darkness, growing weaker with each light year. The Linith did not expect an answer. In the streets below, families began moving toward the underground shelters. Parents held their children close. Healers carried their most precious medical texts. Teachers gathered their students. Everyone moved quietly, with dignity, even as their world was ending. The Velkari ships began moving into position around the planet. Their weapon systems charged with an ominous hum that could be felt even on the surface. Targeting systems locked onto population centers. The countdown began, 12 hours until the ultimatum expired. Rishala stood at her window, watching her people face their final night. She had lived for 230 years. She had trained thousands of healers. She had personally saved lives from 60 different species. She had given everything to peace. Now she would die for it. She touched the window glass with one gentle hand. "Forgive us," she whispered to the universe. "We only wanted to help. I'm receiving a distress call. It's weak, but it's definitely there." Jake listened to every word. Then he reached for his communications console. "Get me Admiral Hayes," he said quietly. "Right now." Around him, his crew worked at their stations, but everyone was listening. They had all heard the distress call. The fear in that gentle voice had touched something deep in all of them. The view screen flickered to life. Admiral Patricia Hayes appeared, her gray hair pulled back in a tight bun. Her dark eyes were sharp and alert despite the late hour. Behind her, Jake could see the command center of the Liberty's Dawn, the flagship of their small fleet. "Captain Morrison," Patricia said. "This better be important. We're 3 days from home after 2 months of exercises." Her expression didn't change, but Jake saw her hands tighten on the arms of her chair. When the message ended, she was quiet for a long moment. "Where did this come from?" she asked. "The Keshar system," Chris said. "About 6 hours away at maximum speed. The signal is weak, probably because it's broadcasting on all frequencies at once." They're famous in xenobiology circles. They developed the cure for Rigelian fever. They invented the tissue regeneration technique we use in our hospitals. They've helped dozens of species, including ours. They're completely peaceful. They wouldn't even know how to fire a weapon. The Velkari Empire has been expanding aggressively for the past 5 years. They've conquered or absorbed 7 systems. Most species just surrender when the Velkari show up. The distress call mentioned a fleet. Based on typical Velkari tactics, probably 20 warships, maybe more. "It would be suicide." "Admiral," Jake said carefully, "the Lineth helped us. When the colony on New Perth had that outbreak 10 years ago, Lineth doctors came. They saved 12,000 lives. I read the reports. Captain Helen Grant of the Defiant Star, Captain Roy Mitchell of the Crimson Valor, Captain Linda Fox of the Steel Horizon, and Captain Warren Cole of the Thunder's Voice. All of them looked tired from the long exercises, but alert. Patricia didn't waste time. You've all received the distress call from Keshar Prime. I want opinions, fast. The Velkari have bigger ships and more firepower. Lineth medicine cured her when Earth doctors said there was no hope. I owe them." She looked at each captain in turn. "This isn't an official mission. We're supposed to be heading home. If we do this, we're on our own. No backup, no support. If things go wrong, Earth might not even know what happened to us." "Me too," Roy agreed. "My crew won't forgive me if I sail past," Linda said. "The Thunder's Voice is ready," Warren confirmed. Patricia looked at Jake. "Captain Morrison." "Then we're doing this. All ships change course for the Keshar system. Maximum speed. I want to arrive before that 12-hour deadline expires. Engineering teams, I want every bit of speed you can give me. We're racing against time." The 5 human ships turned as one, aiming for a distant star system where people they had never met were waiting to die. On the Liberty's dawn, Lisa Bennett worked at the communications station. She was trying to boost the signal to reach back to Keshar Prime. "Admiral, I'm attempting to establish contact with the Lineth." "We can't beat them in a straight fight, Admiral. We need to be smart about this." "Use that time well. But somebody better say a prayer. We're about to push these engines harder than they've ever been pushed." 5 human vessels, built on a death world where everything was heavier and stronger than anywhere else in the galaxy, were being pushed to their absolute limits. In his quarters, Nathan prepared the medical bay. He didn't know what was coming, but he knew there would be casualties. Human or alien or both. On the bridge, Jake stared at the view screen showing the stars rushing past. Somewhere ahead, gentle people who had only ever wanted to heal were waiting to die. And 5 human ships were racing through the darkness to stop it. 6 hours to Keshar Prime, Chris announced. "Then we make every minute count," Jake said. The fleet drove forward into the unknown. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Keshar system. For a moment, everything was still. Then sensors began painting the tactical display with targets. 22 Velkari warships, Amy reported from her station on the Liberty's dawn. "They're in attack formation around the planet." "They've detected us," Lisa said. "Velkari command ship is hailing." "Humans," he said with amusement. "I have heard of your kind, Deathworlders who think they are strong. You bring 5 tiny ships to challenge the Velkari Empire. I'm here to offer you one chance. Withdraw from this system peacefully. Leave the Lineth alone. Our weapons are more powerful. You are nothing. I will enjoy watching your ships burn. Then I will take this planet anyway. Attack. Show them what Deathworlders can do." "Velkari ships opening fire," Amy called out across the fleet channel. Energy bolts lanced through space, bright against the darkness. But the human ships were already moving. The horizon's edge twisted sideways in a maneuver that would have crushed the bones of most species. The Velkari fire missed by meters. On the Defiant Star, Helen watched her tactical display with intense focus. "Lieutenant Garcia, execute slingshot maneuver. Use the moon's gravity." His hands moved confidently across the controls. The Defiant Star dove toward Keshar Prime's largest moon, accelerating hard. The crew felt the pressure build as they pulled more than 8 times normal gravity. For humans born on a heavy world with strong gravity, it was uncomfortable but manageable. For most species, it would have been fatal. The ship whipped around the moon like a stone from a sling, emerging on a completely different vector. 3 Velkari ships that had been targeting it suddenly found themselves facing the wrong direction. "Fire!" Helen ordered. Weapons officer Danny Wright pressed his controls. Precise beams of energy struck the nearest Velkari ship. The shots weren't random. Danny had studied the sensor data carefully. He knew exactly where the shield generators were located. The Velkari ship's shields flickered and died. A second volley struck the exposed hull and the ship went dark, drifting helplessly. "One down," Danny reported. On Keshar Prime, Rishala stood in the council chamber watching the battle on their screens. The Lineth had expected to die. They had made their peace. But now, impossibly, someone had come. 5 ships against more than 20. It was madness. "Who are they?" Velmira asked, her voice filled with wonder. "Humans," Rishala said softly. She had met humans before, years ago, when Lineth doctors had gone to help a human colony. She remembered their determination, their refusal to give up. "They call themselves Deathworlders." The Velkari were starting to realize these weren't normal opponents. The human ships moved like nothing they had ever seen. They pulled maneuvers that should have been impossible. They dodged fire that should have hit them. Roy Mitchell commanded the Crimson Valor with the calm of 30 years of experience. "Lieutenant Palmer, coordinate with the Steel Horizon. I want a crossfire pattern on Sector 7. He was on temporary assignment to Roy's ship for the exercises. Now he was putting his tactical training to use. The Crimson Valor and Steel Horizon moved in perfect synchronization. They came at a group of 4 Velkari ships from 2 different angles. The Velkari tried to split their fire between both targets. It was a mistake. While the Velkari were distracted, the Thunder's voice came from above, dropping out of a high orbit with weapons blazing. Warren Cole had timed it perfectly. His ship hammered the Velkari vessels from the blind spot they had created by focusing on the other 2 ships. 3 more Velkari ships disabled, Amy reported to Patricia. "Good," Patricia said, "but we need to keep them away from the planet. If they start targeting civilian areas, this whole mission fails." "Those ships are yours, don't let them through." "We're at 140% capacity, Captain. I can't promise how long we can maintain this." "They're locking weapons on us," Amy warned from her station. "Let them," Jake said. "Hold position, we're not moving." "Shields at 60%, Amy called out. Another volley hit, the ship rocked. "Shields at 40%. They were standing between those weapons and 4 billion innocent people below. "Shields at 20%. On the bridge, alarms screamed warnings. The lights flickered. Jake felt the ship groaning around him, but he kept his voice steady. "Return fire," he ordered. "Target their weapon systems. I want them focused on us, not the planet." 1 Velkari ship lost its forward weapons array. Another had its targeting computer knocked offline. "They're still coming," Amy warned. "Shields at 15%. All ships converge on Captain Morrison's position. We're not leaving him alone out there." The Thunder's voice dropped from above like a hammer. The 5 Velkari ships suddenly found themselves surrounded. They had been hunting 1 wounded ship. Now they were the prey. "Focus fire on the lead vessel," Patricia ordered. "All ships on my mark. 3, 2, 1. Fire." The ship went dead in space. "Target the next one," Patricia said calmly. Commander Zethrock watched from his flagship with growing disbelief. How were these humans doing this? They were outnumbered. Their ships were smaller, but they moved like sharks in water, fast and deadly. They worked together with perfect coordination, and they fought with a ferocity that made his veteran warriors hesitate. "All ships," he commanded. "Reform around the flagship. Concentrate our fire. We will crush them with overwhelming power. Admiral, they're clustering together. If we attack that formation head-on, they'll tear us apart. We're going to hit them where they're weakest." Linda and Warren both signaled their agreement. "Then let's end this," Patricia said. The 5 human ships spread out, creating a wide arc around the Velkari formation. To Zethrock, it looked like they were retreating, getting into position to run away. He smiled with satisfaction. "The Deathworlders are finally learning fear. Prepare to pursue. We will hunt them down one by one." The defiant Star and Thunder's voice curved around, coming at the Velkari formation from behind. At the same moment, the Crimson Valor and Steel Horizon attacked from the sides, and the Liberty's Dawn drove straight forward, all weapons firing. The Velkari formation, built to face threats from one direction, suddenly had enemies on all sides. Their ships crashed into each other trying to turn. Their firing solutions became useless as targets appeared in every direction. "Now," Patricia said quietly. Amy had been working on her analysis for the past 20 minutes, studying the Velkari flagship. She had found what she was looking for. "Admiral, the flagship's reactor has a weakness. The cooling system has an external junction right here." She highlighted a point on the tactical display. "If we hit it hard enough, the reactor will have to shut down for emergency cooling." "Everything you have." The combined firepower of the entire human fleet struck one small junction no bigger than a car. The precision was incredible. The impact was devastating. On the Velkari flagship, alarms screamed. Zethrock was thrown from his chair as the ship shook. "What happened?" "It will destroy the ship." Two were completely destroyed. For the first time in his military career, Zethrock felt something unfamiliar. Fear. On Keshar Prime, the Lineth watched in amazement. The impossible was happening. 5 small ships were defeating a fleet 4 times their size. The humans moved like they were dancing, each ship knowing exactly where the others would be. They fought with a combination of precision and ferocity that took the Lineth's breath away. "They're winning," Velmira whispered. "They're actually winning." In space, another Velkari ship lost power and went dark. Then another. The human ships were everywhere at once, striking from unexpected angles, using maneuvers that seemed to defy physics. Sophie Carter kept the horizon's edge, running through sheer determination and skill. Systems were failing all around her, but she rerouted power, bypassed damaged circuits, and kept the engines screaming. "Come on, baby," she whispered to her ship. "Just a little longer." Burns from electrical fires, broken bones from violent maneuvers, but everyone he treated wanted to get back to their stations. No one wanted to stop fighting. On the flagship, Zethrock watched another of his ships take critical damage. His fleet was breaking. His warriors were frightened, and 5 human ships showed no sign of stopping. He had started this battle with 22 ships. Now he had maybe 14 still combat effective. The humans had 5 ships, all damaged, but all still fighting. It was impossible. But it was happening. Zethrock made his decision. He opened a fleet-wide channel. "All ships, retreat, full speed, get us out of this system." 14 warships that had come to conquer now fled in disarray, their engines burning at maximum power. They left behind 8 disabled vessels drifting in space, their crews awaiting rescue that might never come. On the Liberty's Dawn, Patricia watched the retreating ships on her display. Every instinct told her to pursue, to finish what they had started. But she looked at her own fleet status. All 5 ships were damaged. The Horizon's Edge had shields barely holding at 8%. The Steel Horizon had lost 2 weapon arrays. Every vessel showed critical systems running on emergency power. "Let them go," Patricia said quietly. "All ships stand down to alert status. Maintain defensive positions around Keshar Prime." "Captain," Chris said, his voice hoarse, "we're receiving a transmission from the planet. I do not have words sufficient to express our gratitude. You came when no one else would. You fought against impossible odds. You saved our entire civilization. We were nearby. We would be honored to visit your world if you'll have us. Our ships need repairs, and I suspect we have much to discuss." "Our greatest heroes." "Your engineering is fascinating," a Lineth technician named Pelthas said. "Everything is built so strong, so heavy. These hull plates would support a building on our world. We build everything to withstand pressure." The humans had durability and power systems beyond Lineth experience. They learned from each other. In the medical bay, Nathan met with Lineth healers. They compared techniques and knowledge. Nathan showed them human treatments for trauma and battlefield injuries. The Lineth showed him regeneration techniques that seemed almost miraculous. "Your bodies heal remarkably fast on their own," a healer named Sorelin observed. "This is common for Deathworlders. We evolved to survive injuries that would kill most species. Fast healing, strong bones, redundant systems." The city was beautiful, all gentle curves and living gardens. Hospitals rose like works of art. Libraries held knowledge from 1,000 worlds. Rishala walked with them, showing them the medical facilities. "We have treated patients from 63 different species here," she said. "We have never turned anyone away. But we cannot protect the vulnerable. You showed today that strength can be used for good, that warriors can be defenders, not conquerors." Lisa stood with her crew, overwhelmed by the gratitude. Families approached with gifts. Children offered flowers. Elderly Lineth touched the humans gently with their 4 hands, a gesture of deepest respect. "I've never seen anything like this," Lisa whispered to Danny. "We just did our job," Danny replied, but his voice was thick with emotion. In a quieter moment, Amy found herself talking with young Lineth, who wanted to learn about defense. "We have never thought about protecting ourselves," one of them said. "We always believed peace was enough. Today we learned it is not." Amy looked at Patricia, who had overheard. The Admiral nodded slowly. "We can teach you defensive strategies, how to protect yourselves without becoming aggressors." Lisa had discovered that the Lineth had broadcast the entire fight on their networks. Dozens of species who had been helped by the Lineth over the years were now watching the footage in awe. "Admiral," Lisa reported, "we're receiving messages from 11 different systems. They're offering support to the Lineth. 3 of them are asking about possible alliances with Earth. Now everyone wants to talk to us. You have given hope to peaceful species everywhere. Between the Lineth Collective and Earth, if you will have us." She handed Patricia a crystal data storage device. "This contains copies of our medical databases, not the complete archive but significant knowledge. A gift, freely given. Use it to help your people." "Thank you." "Course laid in for Earth, Captain," Chris reported. "Then let's go home," Jake said. "I think we have some interesting reports to file." On the surface, millions of Lineth watched them go, knowing they owed their lives to 5 small vessels and the Deathworlders who crewed them. And across the galaxy, the Velkari Empire faced something it had never known before. Doubt, fear, and the knowledge that there were defenders in the stars now, defenders who would answer when the innocent called. The message was clear. Triumph was no longer inevitable for those who preyed on the weak. Not when Deathworlders could respond to the distress call. "Claude is AI and can make mistakes. Please double-check responses." Triumph seemed inevitable for the aliens. Then a Deathworlder fleet responded to the distress call, Sci-Fi Story.